is Ben, aka BJ, F your family. So before I begin, everything herein is going to be in regards to what happened to me 9 years ago that I also wrote a book about almost 4 years ago. And that book is called Lands of Souls, Trigger to Believer. And I do have a Facebook page about my book if you want to get more insights on it. However, the Facebook page is the original title, which is Reality Realms Tweaker to Believer. I decided to switch the title for reasons that I'll tell you guys in a little bit. So, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm doing some promotions right now on my book. And on top of that, I writing the book almost 4 years ago. There are some people that do believe me, but there's other people that absolutely believe me. And for those people, I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. And so this is also for those that know the truth when they hear it. So I didn't plan on writing a book about what happened to me. It was so strange and so bizarre that I was just going to take it as something that was, a blessing given unto me and something that I was going to ponder until the day I died. But as it did happen and as it did change me as a person entirely, I would share it with a select few people. And when one of the times I shared it with someone, they helped me realize that not only is it my story, it's also my testimony. And when it comes to testimonies can save lives, can change someone's life for the better. So after that, I was like, wow, it almost felt like a duty for me to write my book, and so I could share it with more people that way. So it is my memoir of what happened. It is my testimony, and it's also my documentary. So who am I? Proud father with full custody of my daughter, who's now 8. I've had her for 7 years now. I work at U.A.t as a truck mechanic, essentially, and I am a model, an aspiring model. I am in training to become a life coach, about halfway through my training, and I'm also a choir member bass at my church. Who was I? I was a drug dealing middleman for crystal meth, and it was bizarre. I used to slang crystal meth, and I used to smoke crystal meth. And as a middleman, I would go to the drug dealers' houses, and then with middlemen, it's hard to spot what's going on, so it can last a lot longer that way. So I was doing that for about 7 years. I would smoke crystal meth, slang it. I would smoke weed. I would smoke cigarettes, and I would drink beer. That was my life. But I also have asthma. I was born with it, and I started getting really bad, severe asthma attacks. And this 1 year in particular, I got 7 asthma attacks in this 1 year. And the 7th one was so bad that my oxygen levels were at 67%, so I couldn't breathe on my own. So they had to sedate me and put a tube down my throat to breathe for me. And it took about 4 days before my oxygen levels were back up to par to where I could breathe on my own. And in which case they took out the tube, which tore my esophagus. And I couldn't. When I woke up, I couldn't talk. With the torn esophagus, it was swollen and sore, so I couldn't really talk. I had to whisper, and I couldn't eat right away either. And for laying down for 4 days, I wasn't able to walk either. So I had to learn how to walk and I had to whisper. I couldn't talk. It almost felt like being reborn. But even though that did happen, and that was enough for me to kind of like consider changing myself. It was enough to make me want to stop everything I was doing. That's not what did it. What made me stop it all was what happened during my recovery. During my recovery, I was able to actually shift to different realms and come back, and then shift to another realm and come back, and shift to another one and come back. I was able to do that for a couple days. Um, I don't know. Well, I feel that it was because I was so near death but didn't die. And a quick explanation of it is I prematurely awakened my pineal gland, and but with an awakened pineal gland, it gives you access to access ways to astral locations, I guess, or interdimensional places. I don't know the full mechanics of the pineal gland, but I do know that it definitely covers what happened to me exponentially. And so, yeah, I can't do it anymore. People, a lot of people ask if I could still do it. No, I was able to do it for a couple of days. I think it had to do with my diet. Like I said, I couldn't. With the torn esophagus, I went from once I was out of the hospital. I went from in the hospital. I went from ice chips to ice water to juice to Jello to chicken broth. So when I was out of the hospital, I was on a chicken broth diet, and it wasn't until the day that and that was when I was on this chicken broth diet was when I was traveling to these different realms or dimensions, as I like to call them now. And the day that my esophagus was healed up enough for me to eat meat, I went to Burger King, had a Whopper, and that night I couldn't do it no more. That night it stopped. I call that chapter in my book Ground Beef Grounded. So when it comes to my book, the title, I switched it from Reality Realms Speaker to Believer because the title itself is very confusing. It's like, reality then realms. Wait, but these realms were reality. So that was weird. And on top of that, I didn't know exactly what to call it at that time. Was these places I was going to, were they realms? Were they dimensions? And certain people, certain theories, they call them infinite Earths. I didn't know what to call it at that time, so I decided to play it safe, and I went with Lands of Souls, Tweaker to Believer. I went with Lands of Souls because every single location or place I went to had some type of soul there, some type of entity there. When I think of, there was at least one. And then when it comes to spirits, when I think of spirits, I think animals could be spirits, spirit animals, and there's other types of forms spirits could take. But when I think of souls personally, so when you say soul, I think of humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears. And even though these places, there were some souls in these lands that were very dramatically different from us, they all still substantially had the, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and stuff. So I went with Lands of Souls. I chose Tweaker to Believer. Even after changing, I still kept that title because I felt it has a lot of importance. What do I believe? I believe now that there's more. I believe that this is just the beginning of something way, way bigger, and I believe that we're not here for whatever you're looking at, whatever whatever you did yesterday, whatever you're gonna do tomorrow. We're not here for that, but as part of it, a tweaker slash drug dealer mentality is basically YOLO. You only live once, and so you live to the you live to the you. So if you only live once, then you're gonna go all out. You're gonna do what you can. You're gonna get all you can out of the moment. That's how I was, anyways. When I was in that frame of mind. And so to say Tweaker to Believer was to keep that in the title was to show the permanent transition that happened to me after this. Okay. Oh, and real fast, for those that did read my book, I do want to say thank you, but on top of that, I apologize because if you read it, you know that it was a tough read because I'm not a writer. But I do have a story to tell, So I told it. So thank you for putting up with it. So earlier this year, back in March, I had a talk. I had an hour talk with a producer. Voyage Media hooked it up. It was pitch your book to a producer. And what they happened was it gives you an opportunity if you feel your book is worthy enough to become a movie or a short story or a series to present it in front of a producer and get their feedback and possibly set something up. So I did that. I started off as one of 200 authors to 1 in 50 authors to 1 in 20. And at the end, I made it to the one of the 6 authors that were chosen to pitch their books to a producer. Even though I still had to pay, but that's okay. And so the producer I chose to have my 1 hour session with was Daniel Schneider. And when we said, we started talking. He was like, I'm Daniel Schneider, said a little bit about himself, and then he asked me to tell me about myself. I told him about myself, and then he asked me to tell him about the book. So I tell him about the book in full detail. Keep in mind, he didn't read the book. I think he read the back page, the back of it, and plus what I told him. So when he's done, he was like, first of all, I want to say, great story, good book, very powerful. With the drug dealer, not caring about life, whatnot, and then to fast forward to full-time dad, working, trying to make it in this world. He said very deep, very powerful, much needed book and story for others to be inspired from. However, he was like the traveling to different realms. He was like, how about we, just hear me out. He was like, how about we instead make it to where in the end, these occurrences did happen, but in the end, it was really just dreams. And but at the same time, going through this dramatic change in my life, I made these dreams more. I made them more of a reality to deal with what I was going through. And I was like, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying with that. No, I can't do it. I was like, I can't do it because that's not why I wrote the book. I didn't write the book for money. I wrote it because it happened, and it's to share with the world what happened to me, so others could learn something from it or get something from it. I don't know, or give back to me and let me know on it. I don't know, but he was like, about that you said that before coming on to this session, I thought you agreed that you'd be willing to make adjustments to the book, and I was like, yeah. And I am willing to make adjustments to the book. Like I'm from California, you could set it in Texas, or subtle changes like that. Or change the layout, or leave a part out, or add more in, or something. But to change the whole dynamic of the whole story, I was like, no, you can't do that. You can't. It's not a story I didn't make it up. It's what happened. And he didn't even read the book. I was like, he's like, oh, but you have to say, it could have been a dream. I was like, no, it couldn't have been a dream. I have dreams. I've had dreams. I have dreams all the time. These weren't dreams. It wasn't astral projection. I think I did astral projection before. It wasn't that. I was like, a dream. Have you ever been trapped in a dream before? Have you ever not been able to want to leave your dream and be stuck and trapped? No, you haven't, right? Yeah. That's for the record. That's the Renaissance Carnival chapter. But yeah, I was. Anyways, yeah, I was. And I was like, story. I do have a story. Just called Dragon Boy. That's not the name of the title, but that's the the main character, and he has this crazy sword called the Balancer Dancer that extracts like a whip and comes back. But I was like, but no, this isn't a story that I'm trying to sell to make money. This is a story that happened to me that I'm willing to share. And he didn't like that, and that's fine. And so it didn't go well. Where I'm going with that is, I did not write this book to make money. I wrote it because it happened, and one of the, like, and like I said, it can inspire people. From what I know, it definitely absolutely inspired one person. And even when I wrote the book, I told myself, if it only inspires one person and nobody else, then it's done its job. But to reiterate on the pineal gland, that's the best explanation in regards to what happened to me. If you Google the pineal gland and Joe Dispenza with the pineal gland, his theories, his scientific theories on the pineal gland are very very cool. I want to say profound, but I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. Anyways, he's also a near-death survivor, like myself, and not only does his scientific theory on the pineal gland, give understanding to my story. Not only that, like, I wrote this story, I wrote my book in memory. So it wasn't like I was just explaining what happened, and there's parts on it that I don't understand. But it did happen, so I wrote it down. And after watching or listening to his theory, scientific theory on the pineal gland, it even gave me understanding on my book that I did before I didn't understand. With that in particular, that's the realm chapter, the unofficial realm. It was a lot of weird kooky stuff was happening with that one that made no sense. And then, like, if you read the whole book, it's like, well, if you're saying this, and how could that be that here and stuff? But with his scientific theories on the pineal gland, it makes sense of it. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. Um, yeah. So, like I said, I did stop cold turkey. I stopped it all cold turkey. All the drug dealing, the smoking, the lifestyle. I used to live in Northern California. I now live in Southern California, where I raised my daughter. And it, I stopped, and I stopped everything because I had to. I mean, there's different realms or dimensions a shift away from us. I was like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta stay sober and figure this out. I mean, people trying to have me do drugs. I was like, drugs. You got a different world, a shift away, and you want to talk about drugs. A shift away is another world. And you want to talk about drugs. A shift away. And so I was like, what do drugs do? Drugs go, nah, drugs. I was good on drugs. And I needed to figure this out. But of course, that was 9 years ago. So here we are, 9 years later. I figured it out. I have theories that I've tested, that I live my life off of, and that I've gotten based off of what happened to me. I call them Lands of Souls theories. So this video is actually part 1 of 3. Part 2 is going to be about my theory on how to gather positive energy, and it's in regards to the blackness that I talk about in the first chapters of my book. And the blackness was what was while I was near death. Before during these asthma attacks when I was near death, it was the black. It was a pull, like a jagged rusty hook, pulling at my soul, violently, aggressively into. Now I'm in darkness because darkness is it was a blackness. It was like an abyss. And it's talking about, yeah. So it's based off of that and what I got off from that, and what I do in regards to that now. So part 2 of my Lands of Souls theories is going to be on gathering positive energy, and that's what I plan on doing until I die. Part 3 is going to be fun. It's going to be tricky for me to do, but I'm ready. I mean, this is 9 years later. I could do it in a way that's should be pretty cool. It's going to be on how like I said, this was all just a shift away, and I felt the shifts as they happened. And so as I felt the shifts, I have like a body understanding of it, sort of. Not really, anyways. But with that though, part 3 is going to be playing with the dimensions, and that's kind of because I mean, yeah, because if it was just a shift away, there's things right in front of us. Everything is right in front of our faces. So part 3 is going to be playing with the dimensions slash the universal lie that binds us to this world. And before I could play with the dimensions, I had to by playing with the dimensions, it helped me undo the universal lie that binds us. So those are going to be fun. Until then, thank you, and see you later.